You know, I mean, me and you, who couldn't fight our way out of a wet paper bag, shouldn't allow another man to talk to us like that. So, the world heavy...
You know, that's when there's certain things that you say, you just don't say to the fighter. You don't cross the line in the fight, and I think...
I'm not saying that I condone that behaviour, because I don't.
It's all about, like I say, self-promotion, selling a fight, and if you can do that, then you're going to get more eyes on the sport, more eyes on the actual contest itself. So it's nothing new. It's really nothing new.
I didn't like it. Yeah. I want a press conference here to talk to the press, not to start screaming, effing and blinding, using language that they were using and doing all the stuff they were doing. No one wants that. I certainly don't want it, especially I'm stuck in the middle.
Jermaine Franklin just destroyed his entire boxing career with one slap. And the fallout? Absolutely nuclear. We're talking about a press conference meltdown that had seasoned promoters, referees, and boxing legends calling for his head. This wasn't some playful push or heated exchange of words. This was a full-blown assault on Moses Atama in front of hundreds of people, and the boxing world is losing its collective mind. What happened next shows exactly why one moment of stupidity can obliterate years of hard work. And honestly, Franklin might never recover from this disaster.
Kept interrupting, but like when he actually spoke, he was compelling and he was believable. Like he means it. You know?
Here's where everything falls apart. Duke McKenzie, a guy who's seen it all in boxing, immediately called out the harsh reality of what just went down. Look, we all know fighters trash talk. We all know they hype fights and sell drama to get people watching. That's the business. But there's a line between promotion and straight-up unprofessional conduct, and Franklin didn't just cross that line, he obliterated it. McKenzie's point hits hard because he's right. You can build hype without throwing hands at a press conference like some amateur who can't control his emotions. Franklin's slap exposed him as someone who doesn't understand the difference between selling a fight and embarrassing the entire sport.
People do that these days, but as ex-boxers, we don't want to fight for nothing. You want to get paid. That's what we used to do. We're prize fighters. We used to be guys running off at the mouth and talking rubbish all the time. That's just the norm, isn't it? These days, it's all about, like I say, self-promotion.
But here's where it gets even more insane. Derek Chassera breaks down exactly how these situations explode, and his analysis is spot on. Boxing environments are already charged with tension, adrenaline, and massive egos. Small provocations can escalate in seconds, and Franklin's overreaction proves he has zero composure under pressure. Think about this for a second. If you can't handle a press conference without losing your mind, how are you supposed to handle 12 rounds in the ring when someone's actually trying to knock your head off? Chassera's calling out the obvious. Franklin let his emotions take control in the worst possible moment, and in a sport where mental discipline separates champions from wannabes, this meltdown revealed everything we need to know about his character.
They would have moved it on. So that probably triggered him with so much, so he started went mad.
Now get this. Robert Smith doesn't hold back at all, and his reaction tells you everything about how serious this situation really is. The boxing authorities didn't just notice what happened, they immediately launched a full review of the incident. We're talking about professional oversight, potential suspensions, and career-altering consequences. Every single professional in that room recognized the severity of what Franklin did, and Smith's making it crystal clear that this kind of reckless behavior will be met with serious punishment. This isn't going away quietly. Franklin's facing the possibility of fines, suspensions, and permanent damage to his reputation, all because he couldn't keep his hands to himself for 30 seconds.
There will be an appeal taking place, so that fine could be reduced or it could be increased. It goes in front of a completely independent appeal steward.
Here's the kicker, though. Isaac Lowe lays out just how absolutely avoidable this entire disaster was. Picture this scene. Over 500 people packed into this press conference, cameras everywhere, media from around the world watching every move. And Franklin decides this is the perfect moment to get in Moses Atama's face and create chaos. Lowe's calling it exactly what it is. Reckless, stupid, and completely unnecessary. In professional boxing, respect and control aren't suggestions, they're non-negotiable requirements. Franklin didn't just disrespect Atama, he embarrassed himself, his team, and everyone associated with the event. The man chose the worst possible moment to have the worst possible reaction.
Getting a man's face in front of a hall with over 500 people, what do you expect someone to do? Pushing and shoving, and we all know Big John's quick-tempered, do you know what I mean? But he threw the headbutt first, so it is what it is, but I think...
But wait, it gets even worse. Gareth Davies reveals just how close we came to absolute pandemonium, and when you hear these numbers, you'll understand why everyone's so furious. We're talking about 25 people in each fighter's entourage, 150 international media members crammed into the mezzanine, and Franklin's slap happening right in the middle of all that human powder keg. Davies isn't exaggerating when he says this could have ignited a full-blown brawl that would have made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Security had to act fast to prevent what could have been one of the most embarrassing incidents in boxing history. And here's what's really wild. Fighters are supposed to be the ultimate example of controlled aggression. They're supposed to save it for the ring. Franklin threw all of that out the window and chose chaos over composure, sending the worst possible message to every young fighter watching.
Huge brawl in there because both entourages are huge, about 25 in each team. There's about 150 international media here as well in the mezzanine floor. It was still dramatic anyway, but thankfully the security did a great job as well.
Eddie Hearn's reaction shows you exactly how bad this situation really got. When you need physical separation by security at a press conference, you've already lost control of the narrative. Hearn points out something crucial that most people missed. Franklin didn't just provoke Moses Atama, he did it with cameras rolling, media watching, and the entire boxing world paying attention. This wasn't a private moment of poor judgment. This was a public relations nightmare broadcast to millions of people. Hearn's emphasizing what should be obvious to any professional fighter. You have to be disciplined and measured, especially when the spotlight's on you. Franklin's lack of judgment made security intervention inevitable and highlighted his complete immaturity under pressure.
You honestly think if these two come together like this, well, you know what's going to happen.
So what
I'm going to keep them.
Here's where the business side gets really interesting. Frank Warren, one of the most powerful promoters in boxing, absolutely despises what Franklin did, and his reaction tells you everything about the financial implications of this mess. Warren didn't just dislike the slap, he saw it as unnecessary drama that completely overshadows the actual fight people came to see. Think about this from a business perspective. Promoters invest millions of dollars in these events. They coordinate with broadcasters, sponsors, venues, and media outlets. Franklin's stunt reflects poorly on everyone involved and creates exactly the kind of controversy that makes sponsors nervous. Warren's making it clear that character outside the ring matters just as much as skill inside it. And Franklin just proved he lacks both the professionalism and respect that serious contenders need to succeed at the highest level.
I don't think anybody can beat me, especially with the team that I got. I don't think anybody can beat me on my night. I think, obviously, nobody's invincible. Like, there's a possibility that it can go wrong. But I just think if you're talking about like on the odds, I just don't think anyone could be standing in front of me with my...
Now listen to this part, because Moses Atama's response shows exactly why he's going to destroy Franklin when they finally get in the ring. While Franklin's losing his mind at press conferences, Moses is projecting the supreme confidence of an elite fighter who knows he's prepared. He's stating bluntly that no one can beat him on his night, and he's got the top-tier team and preparation to back up those words. Moses acknowledges there's always the slightest chance of error in any fight, but his mindset is that of someone who sees himself as nearly untouchable. This kind of self-belief can be devastating to opponents, especially ones like Franklin who have already shown they crack under pressure. Moses isn't just physically ready, he's mentally wired to dominate when the lights are brightest.
Just going through the motion, he's serious about it, so I liked it.
Yeah, like his energy was like...
Roy Jones, Jr.'s analysis of Moses Atama should terrify Franklin and his entire team. Jones immediately recognizes something that separates elite fighters from pretenders. Moses' energy remains calm and composed throughout fight week, while Franklin's out here slapping people at press conferences. Jones highlights that talent alone doesn't win fights, mindset does. Moses approaches every media obligation with professionalism and mental clarity, while Franklin gets distracted by hype and loses control of his emotions. Jones is basically predicting that Moses' ability to stay collected under pressure will be the difference maker when these two finally touch gloves. And honestly, after seeing Franklin's meltdown, it's hard to argue with that assessment.
Problems to Jermaine, but they're probably around the same height, maybe Moses a couple of inches taller. I like this matchup. Stylistically, I like this matchup as well. Like, Jermaine comes to fight, and that could sort of fall into Moses' hands. In fact,
and get this, Oladipo breaks down the subtle but critical advantages that Moses brings into this fight, and the technical analysis should worry Franklin even more. Moses has a slight height edge and the ability to impose himself physically, but more importantly, he's got the ring intelligence to make Franklin's aggression work against him. Depot points out that both fighters bring intent to dominate, but Moses benefits from Franklin's forward pressure if he uses his reach and movement effectively. This matchup isn't just about power, it's about timing, strategy, and capitalizing on openings. Moses appears perfectly positioned to leverage his attributes for maximum impact, especially against a fighter who's already proven he makes emotional decisions under pressure.
In the meantime, I think we've put together a brilliant fight with Jermaine Franklin, the American. It's going to be a good fight. I think, with Moses and him, I think it's going to be a good fight, and I think it's a good test.
Frank Warren's perspective on this matchup reveals the strategic brilliance behind pairing these two fighters, and it shows why Franklin's press conference meltdown makes this fight even more intriguing. Warren describes this as both a spectacle and a meaningful test, a proving ground where Moses' talent meets a real-world challenge. By highlighting that both fighters bring distinct styles and experience, Warren sets the stage for a contest that will test composure, adaptability, and ring intelligence. This isn't just another fight, it's a carefully curated matchup designed to push Moses while showcasing his skills against someone who's already shown he cracks under pressure. The anticipation builds around how Moses navigates Franklin's aggression, and whether his preparation can turn this challenge into a definitive statement.
I'm 50-50. Personally, it depends on what style he brings. So it's like, I think if he's like measured, then yes. But if he does what I think he might try and do, which is I'm gonna show this guy, get inside and work like clever shots, I don't think so. I think with someone like Moses, who is naturally so explosive and so quick and technical, he's got so many good attributes, but as we've seen with in any sport across any profession, that explosiveness, in my opinion, cannot happen for 12 rounds. It never happens.
But here's what's really wild about Franklin's mindset going into this fight. Despite embarrassing himself at the press conference, he's still declaring himself a warrior both inside and outside the ring. Franklin positions himself as fearless, refusing to back down from anyone, and he sees Moses' relative inexperience as something he can exploit. This mindset signals a fighter who thrives on confrontation and is mentally prepared to push the pace, but it also reveals someone who doesn't learn from mistakes. Franklin's words are psychological warfare designed to intimidate Moses, but after that press conference disaster, they come across more like desperation than confidence. Fans should expect an aggressive, in-your-face performance, but whether this bravado translates into ring success depends entirely on Moses' ability to stay composed and respond with calculated precision.
Talma, who looks absolutely extraordinary, and for me he ticks all the boxes. I like his attitude, I like his style, southpaw, hard-hitting, moves so well. He's going to be very, very difficult to sort of deter. So it's an interesting one because, is this too soon for Moses, or is this just the right fight at the right time?
Adam Smith's analysis of Moses Atama as a complete package should have Franklin's team seriously worried about their chances. Smith highlights Moses as hard-hitting, technically sound, and dangerous with that southpaw style that gives most fighters problems. Smith notes Moses' composure and natural movement, stressing that he'll be extremely difficult for any opponent to unsettle, especially one who's already shown he loses control under pressure. The key question Smith raises about timing is fascinating. Whether this fight comes too soon for Moses to face a seasoned fighter like Franklin, or whether it's the perfect moment to test his skills against someone who's already mentally compromised. Moses' attributes are undeniable, but this challenge will reveal if he can translate potential into execution against a tested but emotionally unstable opponent.
Case of, let's see One, if we can get rounds. Two, can he do a better job than Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte did? Can he get rounds but also get him out of there? I guess that's kind of the question for Moses. But for me, this is the perfect bit of matchmaking. This is everything that fight fans have wanted. They want to see what happens when Moses Atama goes a few rounds, has someone who's
Oladipo frames this entire situation perfectly by calling Franklin the ideal developmental opponent for Moses, and his reasoning shows exactly why this fight could launch Moses to the next level. While casual fans want to see high-profile clashes immediately, Depot stresses that careful matchmaking builds longevity and creates real champions. Franklin brings legitimate experience, having faced Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte, but he's also shown critical weaknesses that a smart fighter like Moses can exploit. This fight offers Moses a rare opportunity to test his skills against a proven professional while maintaining manageable risk, especially now that Franklin's proven he makes poor decisions under pressure. Depot's insight highlights the perfect balance between challenge and opportunity, showing that this bout could be the launching pad for Moses' rise to elite status. Tommy Knight and Atama Sahani present this matchup as the perfect calculated test for Moses, and their analysis shows why Franklin's press conference meltdown actually makes this fight more winnable for Moses. They point out that this fight will determine whether Moses can go rounds effectively while handling a fighter who applies consistent pressure, but Franklin's emotional instability gives Moses a massive psychological advantage. Sahani compares the potential performance to what Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte achieved against Franklin, suggesting Moses has a real chance to outshine them if he maintains the composure that Franklin clearly lacks. The matchup promises to answer key questions about Moses' readiness and adaptability, while simultaneously providing insight into whether Franklin can recover from his public embarrassment and fight with any kind of discipline. Moses Atama's final thoughts on this fight show exactly the kind of maturity and focus that separates future champions from career disappointments. While Franklin's slapping people at press conferences, Moses approaches this fight with intense focus and genuine respect for his opponent's experience. He acknowledges the controversy surrounding Franklin's past bouts, including split opinions on his performance against Dev Whyte, but frames these uncertainties as pure motivation. Moses signals that he's fully prepared to rise to the occasion, understanding that his performance will define his reputation and momentum in the heavyweight division. By taking Franklin seriously despite his obvious flaws, Moses demonstrates the mental fortitude that champions possess, treating this bout as more than just a test of skill, but as a definitive statement about his future in boxing. So there you have it. Franklin destroyed his reputation with one slap. Moses stayed composed and professional throughout the chaos, and we're about to witness what happens when discipline meets desperation in the ring. This isn't just about boxing skills anymore. This is about character, mental strength, and who can handle pressure when everything's on the line. Franklin's press conference meltdown revealed everything we need to know about his mindset, while Moses' calm professionalism showed why he's being talked about as a future champion. Here's my question for you. Drop it in the comments. After seeing Franklin lose control at a simple press conference, do you think he has any chance against Moses when the real pressure hits? Or is this going to be a one-sided destruction? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening behind the scenes, smash that like button, subscribe for more boxing analysis, and hit the notification bell because this fight is going to be absolutely wild. I'll see you in the next one. But before you go, let me tell you what's really at stake here that nobody's talking about. This fight isn't just about two heavyweights throwing leather for 12 rounds. We're watching the collision of two completely different philosophies about what it means to be a professional fighter in 2024. On one side, you've got Moses Atama representing the new generation of composed, calculated fighters who understand that mental warfare happens between the ears, not at press conferences. On the other side, Franklin embodies the old-school mentality that aggression and intimidation can substitute for actual ring intelligence and emotional control. The timing of this matchup couldn't be more perfect for exposing these contrasting approaches. Moses gets to face a fighter with legitimate heavyweight experience without the career-ending risk of facing an elite contender who's mentally sharp. Meanwhile, Franklin's backed into a corner where he absolutely has to prove that his press conference antics weren't just the desperate actions of someone who knows he's outclassed. The psychological dynamics are fascinating because Moses can fight with house money, while Franklin's carrying the weight of having to justify his behavior to an entire sport that's questioning his professionalism. Here's what's really wild, though. The betting lines and public perception shifted dramatically after that slap heard around the boxing world. Before the press conference disaster, casual fans might have given Franklin a puncher's chance based purely on his experience against top-level opposition. But now, the narrative has completely flipped. Moses isn't just the technical favorite anymore, he's the moral favorite, the guy everyone wants to see teach Franklin a lesson about respect and composure. This kind of public sentiment can be incredibly motivating for a young fighter like Moses, knowing that millions of boxing fans will be rooting for him to deliver justice in the most definitive way possible. What makes this situation even more compelling is how it mirrors some of boxing's greatest upsets and breakthrough moments. Think about it. How many legendary careers were launched by a young, hungry fighter dismantling a more experienced opponent who underestimated them? Moses has everything he needs to create that kind of defining moment. Franklin's emotional instability, combined with the pressure of having to redeem himself after that press conference embarrassment, creates the perfect storm for an upset that could announce Moses as a legitimate heavyweight contender while simultaneously ending Franklin's relevance in the division. The tactical implications of Franklin's mental state cannot be overstated. When fighters carry emotional baggage into the ring, it affects everything from their preparation to their in-fight decision-making. Franklin's going to be thinking about proving doubters wrong instead of focusing on the technical adjustments needed to neutralize Moses' southpaw style. Meanwhile, Moses can fight with complete clarity, knowing that his opponent has already shown a tendency to make impulsive decisions when things don't go according to plan. This psychological edge might be more valuable than any physical advantage either fighter possesses.